On the night of September 3rd, 2022, Prince Mongol Malong was driving through the streets of Sunnyside, Pretoria in his brand new Volkswagen Golf GTI 8. His wife was right next to him, oblivious to the unexpected danger that was about to hit them. The city seemed calm past midnight, but Prince knew better than to relax. As they got to an intersection, a white Volkswagen Polo popped up out of nowhere. All of a sudden, the peaceful night was shattered by the terrifying sound of gunfire as bullets started hitting Prince's car. What started as a regular drive quickly turned into a nightmare. But even in this deadly situation, Prince wasn't the type to back down. He was determined to fight for his and his wife's lives. But this was no random assault. It was a calculated ambush. No matter how he tried to escape it, his moves had already been calculated, as it clearly was a deliberate effort to remove one of South Africa's most notorious gang lords. Time felt like it hit pause momentarily as chaos erupted, marking the beginning of the end for a man who once ruled Pretoria's underworld. This is a gripping story about the rise and fall of one of South Africa's most infamous crime figures, filled with wealth, betrayal, and violence. Prince Mongol Malong's story begins in Pretoria, a city where poverty and despair permeate the atmosphere, leading people to make difficult and often risky choices. For some, crime appears to be an escape, while for others, it only results in catastrophe. In this harsh reality, there are no easy exits, just a series of perilous decisions. Each choice Prince made brought him closer to a pivotal moment that would determine his future. Growing up, Prince got involved with local gangs, starting with a notorious car theft crew that specialized in stealing rugged, off-road vehicles, especially the Toyota GD6. His criminal activities escalated to smuggling goods into Mozambique and Zambia. As he delved into high-stakes crime, including luxury car theft and armed truck heists, he quickly built a multi-million-dollar operation, shocking many with his rapid rise in South Africa's organized crime scene. Despite his modest background right before his untimely death, everyone knew that Prince was a man of fashion. His closet reflected his flashy lifestyle, filled with designer items that never went unnoticed, flashy luxury cars that turned heads, and a sharp eye for sneakers. People often talked about his incredible style, and there were whispers that he even dedicated a whole room in his house to showcase his amazing sneaker collection, each pair more exclusive and pricey than the last. Among his crew and fans, he was celebrated as a fashion icon. He was unapologetic about his wealth and loved the spotlight, despite the shady rumors surrounding him. The gang scene he navigated was dangerous, marked by fierce territorial battles. However, Prince leveraged his money and connections to maintain his security until chaos ensued. The prolonged conflict with rival gangs turned brutal, leaving many groups battered. As tensions rose, Prince proved his mettle as a leader, seizing control of parts of Pretoria and eyeing expansion into nearby cities. As Prince's power grew, he started hanging out with guys like Zorro, another big player in the underworld. But climbing the ranks didn't come without its challenges. Things started getting pretty tense. Prince didn't just run the criminal scene, he also knew how to keep up a public image. As his crew grew, he showed off his wealth and influence on social media. He'd post videos flaunting fancy cars, designer clothes, and, of course, his guns. Some photos even showed him hanging out with other gang members like Zorro, who he was said to do business with. But while Prince was busy living large, the authorities weren't just sitting back and watching. In 2021, after discovering Prince's involvement in illegal activities and murders, the police intensified their efforts to apprehend him. In January, they conducted a surprise raid at his home in Trennance Park, a known hangout for his crew. The Durban Anti-Gang and National Intervention Unit executed the operation late at night, catching the gang off guard. Despite the Mongol gang's toughness, the raid was so swift that they couldn't fight back. The premises were adorned with gang symbols, highlighting Prince's influence. Ultimately, the police found Prince in one of the rooms and arrested him before he could react. To prevent any retaliation, they quickly placed him in a plain police car, aware that his criminal connections could pose a significant threat. Even though he was behind bars, Prince still had a big influence in South Africa's criminal world. His reputation among the crooks was still pretty solid, which meant he managed to hold on to some of his power, even if it was a bit shaky. Meanwhile, his old buddy Zorro saw an opening to move up in the crime game. They had teamed up before, but with Prince locked up, everything changed. In an effort to make his mark while Prince was out of the picture, Zorro teamed up with other criminals looking to score big in the drug trade and high-end car thefts. This alliance led to a chaotic power struggle, with rival gangs battling over crucial drug routes and networks for stealing luxury cars. The situation quickly escalated into a playground of violence and betrayal as different factions fought for control over South Africa's tumultuous crime landscape. Even from prison, Prince remained embroiled in the madness. He managed to pull some strings to keep his operations running, ensuring that his name still commanded respect and fear on the streets. One of the most significant events in this saga occurred in February 2022 during a shocking cash-in-transit heist at the Menandi Spar on Twip Road in Centurion. Tragically, one of the security guards lost their life during the robbery, underscoring just how dangerous things had become for both Zorro's and Prince's crews. This violent episode attracted a great deal of attention from law enforcement and exacerbated the tensions in the criminal underworld, bringing Prince's name back into the spotlight, even while he was still incarcerated. The crew reportedly attacked said security guard while he was loading cash into the truck. Suddenly, the guard was shot multiple times and murdered ruthlessly. The shocking incident was recorded on CCTV. Two individuals, dressed unmistakably, escaped the location with the cash boxes, but their success was temporary. The security features on the cash boxes rendered the stolen money worthless. The fate of Prince after the robbery remains a mystery. Despite the seriousness of the crime, there have been no reports indicating that he served any time in prison. There are also allegations linking Prince to a notorious hijacking syndicate that has a specific preference for 4x4 vehicles. Among their most prized targets is the Toyota GD6, a durable vehicle that is highly sought after in Africa. This syndicate is believed to have extensive connections that extend well beyond South Africa's borders. Vehicles that are stolen or hijacked locally are quickly smuggled into Mozambique or Zambia before disappearing into other parts of the continent. Operating like a well-oiled machine, this syndicate is no ordinary gang. It functions similarly to a drug cartel. Low-level criminals, each connected to the organization, are assigned to carry out various tasks, while those at the top fulfill specific requests from elusive clients. Orders for particular vehicles are communicated throughout the chain, leading to hijackings that target the most in-demand models. Some vehicles are stolen for their valuable parts on the black market, while others are taken for their performance and capabilities. What may look like a random attack when someone gets hijacked is, in fact, part of a complex web of underground players, each playing their role in the cross-border network of crime. In the streets, that's where you would find players like Prince and Zorro, who had become one of his close allies at that point. Prince's name was whispered on the streets, but some accusations about him were never proven. After purchasing his brand-new Golf GTI 8, Prince wasn't shy about flaunting it. Flashing it across social media, it became just another symbol of his carefully crafted image as the man with the latest, most luxurious toys. Little did he know that this very car, which he proudly paraded, would soon become his coffin on wheels. In September 2022, a terrifying event unfolded shortly after Prince's imprisonment, forever changing the course of his life. On the 3rd of September, he was driving through the streets of Pretoria with his wife in their sleek Golf GTI 8, a car that reflected the same charisma and flair he often showcased on his vibrant social media posts. Without warning, they found themselves ambushed by a vehicle loaded with armed individuals. The attackers opened fire, their bullets striking the couple's car and loading it with bullets. In the chaos, Prince was seriously injured, and his wife, filled with terror and disbelief, watched in horror as her husband was caught in the line of fire. As the assailants fled the scene, the chaos subsided, but the damage was done. Emergency responders rushed Prince to a nearby hospital in a desperate attempt to save him, the gravity of the situation hanging heavy in the air. Despite their dedicated efforts, the injuries sustained were too severe. Just a few agonizing hours later, Prince was pronounced dead at the age of 43, leaving behind a legacy marked by both infamy and tragedy. The very same man who built a huge empire of drugs, fancy cars, and violence met his end in a bold ambush. Karma caught up with him just as quickly as he had built his empire. With his death, the organized crime scene in South Africa lost a major player, but the chaos didn't stop there. The world of organized crime in South Africa lost a significant figure with his death. However, the aftermath of Prince's assassination sent shockwaves through the region, triggering a new surge of violence in the drug trafficking industry. Strangely, Zorro was also a member of the Zion Christian Church, though his involvement in illegal activities outside of its walls painted a far more sinister picture. Following Prince's death, his narrative lived on. Much like Prince, Zorro had some pretty tight connections with various gangs and criminal fashion choices. There are reports that Zorro and Prince worked together on a bunch of robberies and heists, which helped them build a reputation as two of the most powerful criminals in South Africa. After Prince was killed, Zorro found himself on the radar of rival groups in the drug trade and smuggling scene. Zorro suffered a similarly tragic end just a few months after the attack that claimed Prince's life. He was also brutally killed in Mamelodi, yet another hub of organized crime in South Africa. Police reports later revealed that Zorro was behind the wheel of his bakkie when a BMW drove up closely behind him. The passengers inside opened fire with automatic weapons, sending bullets tearing through the vehicle. In a frantic bid to escape, Zorro accelerated through the streets, trying to evade his attackers. However, his fortune ran out, and his bakkie finally came to a stop. He exited the vehicle, believing he could run away, but his assailants had different intentions. The BMW abruptly stopped, and unidentified gunmen appeared, killing Zorro without mercy. The aftermath was one of complete devastation. Police collected 29 shell casings in a single bullet, while Zorro's bakkie was filled with bullet holes all along the back and sides. Zorro's murder really shook up the community, with people on social media saying things like, "Now we can finally drive our GD6s without worry," showing that the stolen luxury car scene had switched hands. Prince Mongol's funeral was something else entirely. His family threw a huge event to flaunt the kind of luxurious lifestyle he had. Rumor has it they spent over 300,000 South African rands on it. Only cars from the 2022 model year were allowed in the funeral parade, and people were required to show up in designer clothes, highlighting the crime lord's love for all things luxurious. Videos from the event blew up on social media, showcasing fancy tributes to Prince Mongol. While some people celebrated his life, others criticized the glorification of someone whose criminal actions brought a lot of fear and hurt to others. The funeral was a final display of Prince's dominance over South Africa's underworld. Today, the person behind Prince's death remains a mystery. Even though there's been a lot of talk about his possible involvement in illegal activities and connections to a dangerous underworld, no one has officially been named or charged for his murder. After his death, new players scrambled to take over his empire, proving that in South Africa's underworld, power never stays vacant for long. His killing shows just how tough the fight against organized crime in the country is, and the ruthless ways these gangs handle their disputes.